Hello everyone, welcome to Tray Table Talk with Jessica. I am here with Copeland Brown, and today we're going to be doing a musical review. Today we're reviewing Groundhog Day the Musical, which we saw at the August Wilson Theater in New York City. So we had tickets to this and we sat
in the orchestra.
In the orchestra section.
Row W.
Row W.
And we had a perfect view of everything.
Yes,
right
we were
in the middle.
right in the center.
You could see everything. It was awesome.
Great seats. They were really good seats. I mean, really anywhere in the orchestra is good seats. I mean, of course, up closer is better, but we had pretty good seats for where we sat and what we paid for the tickets because we got them cheap. So this show, Groundhog Day, was starring Andy Karl as the lead role.
Phil Connors and Barrett Doss as Rita Hanson.
Yes.
Groundhog Day is based on the film starring Bill Murray and Andie MacDowell in the title roles, and it's about this newscaster, Phil Connors, who is a complete jerk and is sent to the town of Punxsutawney to report on the Groundhog Day. And Phil thinks he's too good for it, and he's a jerk to everybody he meets. And so he continues to relive the same day over and over again, which happens to be Groundhog Day, and we see how he develops into a better person and what he does on those time lapse.
Yes, because each day it restarts over with his alarm going off, and then he starts the day all over again, and he doesn't know why it's happening. We really don't know why it's happening, but it just happens to him, and we're not going to really give too much of this away. We're just going to kind of, just the surface level. So yeah, pretty much it's just the same thing that happens over and over again. But so we are going to kind of review a little bit about the acting and the singing and everything. So we'll start with the acting. So it was starring Andy Karl, who was in Law & Order SVU. He was in the original Legally Blonde, the musical on Broadway cast.
And Rocky.
He was in Rocky on Broadway. So Cope, what do you think about Andy Karl's performance in this show?
I thought he was great. I thought he was great for what he was given.
Yes.
I did not really like the whole premise of Groundhog Day as a whole, but Andy Karl was incredible, especially we saw it.
Yes.
Was for him.
Yeah, I think that's why a lot of people were seeing it, because Andy Karl was in it. The show itself, because it's based on the movie, which I'm not a huge fan of the movie anyway. I mean, Bill Murray is good because it's Bill Murray, but the show is just not... The plot is just not that great, and
it's not their fault. It's just, sometimes you're like, that movie would be a great musical, and someone thought wrong with Groundhog Day.
Yes, we'll just say that in the nicest.
I'm happy we saw it, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just Andy Karl and Barrett Doss, and the whole cast were incredible.
Yeah.
But there's only so much you can do with a score and a libretto that you're given.
Yeah, and we will say that. Or I'll say, I think Cope feels the same way, that Act 1 was pretty boring, because that's the act where you figure out that he's reliving the same day, and so every day he's trying to do it different, and then so all of Act 1 was basically him reliving the same day, so it got very repetitive, and it was
the same song over and over, but just different ways. And it would have been super easy to memorize Act 1 because it's literally the same lines in different scenes.
That's true. Yeah, it was a little bit boring, Act 1, but then when we got into Act 2, he started to change his ways as he does in the movie. He starts to be nicer to people and tries to win the girl over and everything. So Act 2 was better.
Yeah, it redeemed itself.
Yeah.
Except there was one song called Plain Nancy that was incredible, played by Rebecca Falconberry. Her character Nancy is, I guess, like the town girl to ogle at, because she's always in tight clothes and she has one-night stands with Phil Connor, and we know about that because she has the one-night stand in Act 1 with him. But then in Act 2, she opens the act with her song called Plain Nancy, which is like laying it all on the line, being very vulnerable, and it didn't make any sense.
Yeah, it was just kind of a standalone song.
Right, I mean, it was great.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was my favorite song in the show, probably.
But should not have been in sort of Act 2.
Yeah, I think they just wanted to give her more of a bigger part, or that character a bigger part, because like she plays a pretty big part in the movie, and so I guess they wanted to do a little bit more with her. Yeah, I think just the way that it happened and the randomness of it all was really not that great. But she was an amazing singer, which brings us to our next topic of singing. So we're gonna kind of go over a little bit of what we thought about the actors and their singing and how they sounded. So let's start with Andy Karl. He, of course, he's amazing, he's a celebrity, so I mean he was obviously awesome, which is why he was cast in that role. But he did a really great job at singing. The girl who played Rita, who was named
Barrett Doss.
Barrett Doss. Yes, she had a great voice as well. So I really think that, based off of singing, I really think that the strongest female lead was Rebecca Falconberry, who played Nancy. And because she only had the one song, which was really random, but that song was absolutely amazing. I think that she was probably, for me, in my opinion, the strongest female lead. So what do you think about that?
I would say Barrett Doss, even though she didn't really have a standalone song, she just held the stage with her presence and her voice, because Rebecca and Barrett have different voice types.
They do.
Rebecca's more like a soft soprano and just very beautiful soprano notes, whereas Barrett gets in your face with her belting, and so they're just different.
Yeah, they were both very.
And I like belting, so I of course love people who can belt their butts off. And Barrett was one of those. Yes. And so my favorite was by far Barrett, was female-wise. And
then of course the male, I mean really the only male lead was Andy Karl, so of course he was the strongest male lead.
And the ensemble was great too.
Yes, the ensemble was very good in this show.
Their harmonies were on point.
Yes, it was very...
it was different because most ensembles, you have one or two with like a couple lines here and there, but every ensemble member had an actual part.
Yeah, that's true. They all had like a featured, their own featured personality,
and their own storyline too, which was super cool.
It was. So yeah, so we'll go on to the visuals now, which kind of ties into that. My favorite part of the visuals was kind of how they used. We won't really give much away because we don't want to spoil it for anyone out there. But their use of sets and like neon kind of style is what they did with everything, because it was meant to look like everything was crazy, and Andy Karl was kind of like in this space where it was just like everything was happening around him and he couldn't really process it. So they really used that to their advantage with all the visuals and everything, and all the different things that they held up, things that were spinning all around, and that part was really cool to me.
My favorite scene, which is in the movie too, so it's not a big spoiler, is there's this big car chase scene with Phil and the police, and it's kind of hard to do that with a Broadway stage and no actual cars and no roads. But what they did was they had just like a blackout and then neon, like actual like size cars. That was super cool. And then just the sets in general. I would definitely recommend this show for the visual aspect.
Yeah, the visuals were very, very
like
good.
If you work behind the scenes on sets or you design shows, this is the show to see.
Yes, absolutely. You will appreciate the visuals very, very much, because it was awesome. So after the show, we ended up getting a bunch of autographs, as you can see.
We booked it.
We booked it to the stage door, and we got a lot of people's autographs. I'll kind of move that up a little bit. We got Andy Karl and Barrett, and pretty much all of them. I mean, even the ensemble members came out.
A lot for a 2 o'clock
the matinee show. And they usually the lead doesn't come out, like the main lead, if they're a celebrity, they don't come out, but Andy Karl came out. He talked to us. He was we got photos with him. He had a conversation with us. So now we're going to go ahead and give it an overall rating based on all the acting, based on the singing, based on the visuals and everything. Cope, why don't you go first? What would you give it out of 5 stars?
I would give it a 3.5 because it's not bad at all. Like, this is not meant to say it's terrible. It's just, it wasn't my cup of tea, Like, I'm very thankful we saw it, but I wouldn't pay that much money to see it again.
So yeah, I agree. I'm gonna give it 3 out of 5 stars. I went in with kind of a mindset of it being, a spectacular show because I've heard so much about it and I've seen other people review it a little bit, and so I went in with kind of high hopes, and I was a little bit disappointed, but that's not to say that you know, there were things that were absolutely amazing because, like I said, the visuals were really, really good. I think mostly a lot of this is lended to the plot line. It just wasn't a good plot.
You just have to like the movie.
I think so.
And I think the movie has such a big following behind it, is why they transformed it from screen to stage.
Right.
And I feel that the show is very successful because it's amazing to other people, but it's just not every musical is going to be your favorite. And this one just happened to be not my favorite I've seen, but it's definitely, I don't hate it, it just wasn't my cup of tea.
Yes, I agree with that. Yep, all right, so thank you, Cope, for being here on a Tray Table Talk with Jessica. That was our review on Groundhog Day the Musical. And thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you later for another review. Peace out.
And it follows...
Upstairs.
It's upstairs?
Yeah.
Can you edit this out?
Yeah.
Okay. So Groundhog Day is based on...
Start over.
Okay.
You don't do it.